building blocks where we program Minecraft mods live on camera and watch as things go kablooey. And tonight I'm committing a sin. Is probably a joke that takes a little bit of explanation. So, tonight we're going to do something with Minecraft mods, well, Minecraft models to be specific, that is, in my book, heresy. It is a thing that should not be done in Minecraft mods because it makes things that are completely outside of the visual realm of Minecraft vanilla, and that therefore makes it stick out like a sore thumb and can make it look utterly hideous and bleh. But I think we can do this in a way that doesn't look too jarring, and will allow us to do wings, in particular, significantly easier, because, oh boy. So let me just start off by showing what we did last week, and then maybe you'll get some idea of what I mean when it comes to wings. Okay, so here is the model, and the very simple, basic, not very good, but they're nonetheless texture that we made for dragon wings last week. And especially as I animate it there, you can kind of see that there is a problem with this, because that constantly detaches from itself and overlaps and all sorts. It's just a static texture on something that's meant to be very, very flexible, and consequently looks kind of rubbish. In short, you can even see the Z fighting here. It's not great. It's really not great. And vanilla doesn't have a solution to this, because everything in Minecraft models is static, which means that more or less it's impossible to make a wing that flexes in any fashion, which is part of why the actual, like, Ender Dragon, who is floating above our heads, there you go, right? Now you can actually talk. Part of why the Ender Dragon, up here, has perfectly static wings. They only move in a direction where the texture of her wings doesn't break at all. And it's a similar story for the Phantom over here, who also has actual wings. But, as we can see, they don't flex in any fashion, they just go flippy-flap. Which is fine, unless you're trying to make something that is significantly more alive. So, I have spent this past week very much outside of my comfort zone, doing things that, by my rulebook of making things that look like they could fit in perfectly well with Minecraft vanilla, it is heresy. It's a sin. It's dark forbidden knowledge. Because what I have done is go through all of the effort to implement new rendering capabilities to actual vanilla stuffs, so that we can actually add moving texture, reshaping texture. And oh boy, is it ever a lot. Yeah, that should work just for right now. Just for right now, that should be fine. And let me just turn off this part as well, actually, just so it's a bit clearer when we're in there. It'll look dot jarring? Yes, it'll look very dot jarring. But yeah, as we load in for this, you'll see exactly what I mean. And meanwhile, I need to pull something up, because I'm going to need reference imagery for this as we get along. There you are. Okay, right. So, wings, as a rule, at least in nature, are extremely flexible. They're more or less membranes attached to an arm, and that means that they fold and flex and stretch and can go in all manner of directions without breaking in any fashion. Which is really, really hard to do if your objects are completely static. set their size, set their shapes, set their dimensions, set their orientations, and then leave it, more or less. You can change the rotations, but that is about the limit of Minecraft animation. So, here we have a texture that can actually flex, that can bend, that can move. And this is actually two wings. I know it looks like one object right now because they're more or less the same direction and stuff. But there we have it. That is a textured plane, to be exact. More or less just like a cuboid. But every point of the cuboids, that's four corners, are being calculated during the render phase rather than the modeling phase. Therefore, we can animate it and the texture will move with it. Now, there are some limitations to this still. It doesn't really do triangles very well, and that's due to how a square in rendering is actually formulated. It's basically just two triangles put together, so when you try and reduce it to one triangle, it removes a chunk of the square texture you were trying to render in the first place. But what we're going to do today is we're going to redo our dragon wing model to be more in keeping with a bat's kind of anatomy, and then we're going to try and calculate the locations for drawing these using a framework I have thrown together inside of Model Wings to try and make a dragon wing that can actually move and animate and flex and stay cohesive. Stay looking like one singular wing. So yes, get ready everybody, we are committing heresy tonight. Boot up technically, there we go. Okay. I should probably add a function in here to add a membrane. Let's see what I need to do for that. Going to need those values. If you're hoping for explanation of how these things work, I know I actually did make them, but you're probably not gonna hear it from me, I'm afraid. Because graphics code is not my thing at all. But basically what happens here is we go through the animation step. In there we can call this function add membrane, which then adds it to a list that gets cleared every step. And that step in the render step just a render step, effectively adding a second object that we can have in our models. Offset sizes, positions, I guess that makes sense, yeah. Okay. There. So I can just call that, and actually it'll just do the rendering for me. Fairly straightforward. But anyways, let's see. This is what is the texture size of this? 32 by 64. Yep, should be fine. Okay, let's start with a biped model as our base here. So here is Steve, Minecraft, before he gets any skin. Okay. Right, so, if you didn't know how wings work, what we have is human bone. You connect human bone A to human bones B and C, and then you connect that to the human metatarsal array, and that connects to the finger arrays. Similar story with birds, but everything's just kind of swooshed up. There's fewer elements in a bird's wing. But down here at bats is what we're mainly interested in, because these two are more or less the same thing. But if we draw this part with cubes, fairly straightforwards, add a couple of these, then these points we won't be able to know, because we'll have the starting point, the joining point, this point down here, and then this point down here. That creates us a square, more specifically a trapezoid. And from that, we should be able to render our membrane object quite happily, and it should be able to move with wherever this thing is pointing, so it'll always line up. Is the hope. Now there is a join here. We could theoretically fill that in as well. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 points. But I think for the moment we're just going to stick with big bulky frontier, so 1 block there, 1 point there. And hopefully this will be okay. We'll probably add a little bit more, just to be on the safe side, but... Anyways. So, let's start by going this away, and let's make this a chunk. A hecking chunk. Just move this into position. This is in the exact opposite orientation to how I made it the first time, but not to worry too much. Let's see, what's its rotation point? 1.52, okay. Let's make that maybe 1.5 as well, just so they're a bit further apart. Okay. So, these are about the midpoint is literally about the midpoint. Like, it's effectively halfway through the wingspan. So, more or less that should mean that our major bones here need to be about the same length. So whatever I decide is this value is going to end up being half of the wingspan. Now if I say 12, that's a 24-point wingspan, which means the wing will end up over there. Ish. Does that seem right, or does that seem ludicrous? Bearing in mind these wings will mostly only be fully unfurled when the player is crouching or flying. Not when they're crawling, hopefully, although it's the same thing as swimming. So, but yeah. I think that's a good distance. That gives us a nice bit of range to work with. So let's set that down to there. And that's on the left side, so call that wing left. And then B, we will plonk at the same point. There we go. Okay, and we'll shrink this a little bit, I think. There we go. We can maybe scale it up slightly more. But the main thing that we then need to do is add this part here is effectively this part here. So we're now going to try and add these two parts here, the fingers, as it were. And they don't need to be quite as long, but I will angle this just so we have some idea of what's going on here. So, there we go. And about there, I think. Yep. Okay. Duplicate that. Call it C. And it needs to be joining at the same point, but angled differently. Bring that down to about 9. Okay. Let's see if I just reduce that slightly for the moment. There. Okay. Then we make a third of those and bring that down. Okay, so just D. Very careful with techniques. There's always the urge to push the delete key instead of the key that I actually want, which is backspace. But oh well. That one is more or less going straight down, so we'll put that close to, like, there. Okay. That is more or less the anatomy of a batwing. So we'll need one membrane piece. Let's see if I can get a good angle for you there. One membrane piece going from bup, one going from bup, and one going from there. And then our texture file only needs to have a texture referring to effectively all of what the membrane is. So this section here, and then a curve at one bottom, so that it actually has that curve when it is rendered. Again, this isn't going to be perfect, because I'm only doing effectively two triangles glued together into a square shape, so consequently, things aren't going to flex quite perfectly, but this is still way more than Minecraft models do, so we'll take it. But anyways, because we know the exact values, we know where this part of the wing starts, we know which way it is oriented, and we know where it ends. From there, we have 2 points. Calculate those, and everything goes just fine. Vasht, I see that pun. It is awful, and I have an emote for that. But okay. So, let's start with just once for the moment, just to be on the safe side here. Keep everything exactly skeletal. Okay. So, thanks to the way I've actually set this whole thing up, everything should be pretty easy to work with. I just need to cut out everything that refers to the right wing. For a hot minute, anyways. Thank you for that, Ash. It's much appreciated. Even if it wasn't a duress. Okay, so we're just gonna start with our one wing so far. Let's see, 45, 16, 8, 8. And A, B, C, and D. Okay. That is all that this should need to render what we already had, but, you know, we're working on it. Okay. No animation, just present, is what we got here so far. And I should actually be able to move this into here and tear out that function entirely. Yay! Just where we want things. Okay. So, is it worth me figuring out where these should be again? Because right now I'm going to be dealing with the roll axis a lot. Do I want to reorient these really quickly? Perfect. Making such good-looking wings is quite the flex. You're going to be getting a lot of shambles tonight, Vash, I see. Okay. Starting off. 1.5, 1.5. Yep. And 2. And mirror turn on. That's fine. I will just plonk that there. Okay, texture point 0, 0, that's fine. This texture is going to look garbage, by the way, because it's not designed for this rig. So, things are going to be odd. 0 offset, 0.5, 0.5, and it is 12, 1, and 1. We can scale it up later if we like. Bind that to our body, so that as the body moves around, it also moves around. And then we have 3 pieces, B, C, and D, to connect to the A part. Oh, that is one too many. My mistake. Okay, so let's see. B is positioned at 13.5 instead of the 1.5, so that's 12 offset there. Everything else is the same. Relative to its parent being wing left A. Okay. I am using my old keyboard today, by the way, so I might be a bit hecky in places. Okay, good, good, good. Let's just all stick them on 0. For the moment, at least. They will get proper positioning later, once we've actually verified that this works at all. Okay, so B is 12 by 1 by 1. And position is 0F, because it is exactly where it started. And we'll start it off left B, rotate angle Z, which is the roll angle, 19 degrees. Okay. And similar story for these other pieces. That is a 9, a 1, and a 1. And its rotation angle currently is 59 degrees. Have to convert these to radians because Minecraft does not like degrees. Don't ask me why. I genuinely have no clue whatsoever. And leave us the same size as that. Okay. Right. That should give us the skeletal frame of bat wings. Now let me just go over to here and muck up this texture file. There we go. Because otherwise we will get something that is trying to be mapped onto it, but isn't, so it's just mostly transparency. Step 1 is figuring out coordinates for this main section here. So that's the origin point of the arm, part of the body down there, and then the end point of this finger, I guess, as well as the origin point of all the fingers. And that will then be the first piece in this puzzle. If we can get this working, then it is very easy to layer them, to add more of them, that kind of thing, to animate them however we like, because they're practically glued to the structure anyways. Yep, there we go. As well as the still stretchy thing there. I note that there is something off here. Did I give something the wrong angle? Ah, I did not give D its own angle. That's why. That should be at 95 degrees. There. Okay. So we need to glue here, more or less here, here, and there. Which we can calculate fairly straightforwardly. Fairly. Not very, but fairly. And we can get rid of pretty much all of that for the moment. Okay. So, position A would be equal to that. Rotated. Well, let's figure these out in absolutes for the moment before we factor in rotation of the body and such. Because we do need to factor in rotation of the body or this will not work too well. But for right now, let's see. D is the point below that. So we'll say position A, add. We're just going straight down here. So let's say it is about 9 points down, I think. In positives here, because for whatever reason, if you notice there, this number goes up, it goes down. It's a weirdness, it's a curiosity of Minecraft. When your models are actually being rendered, they're being rendered upside down. Not my, not my jurisdiction, that one. Okay. So position B is the joint part, which in our case is going to be along the positive x-axis by 13.5 points. Now again, when we actually get to the point of making this live, what'll happen is we then actually have to factor in the orientation of the wing. Now position A is a little bit harder, because this does actually need to factor in rotation in order to line up down here. So that is 9 points from here, rotated to this angle, right here. That explains the dinner brown thing? Yeah, I guess it does. That is probably related. Okay, so that's position B, adding. Let's see, vector 3D from pitch and yaw, except this is the roll angle. Dang it. Okay. Well, if we rotate the pitch angle by 90 degrees, that should convert it to the roll axis. I think. Oh boy. 90, 0, 0. Roll. Thank you. And this would be this dot wing left C. Rotate angle Z. I don't think that'll be perfect, but it's a start. That is C, yes? No, D. D. And let's just label these. So let's see. Bottom body join, I guess. Top body join. Furthest point. And bottom of furthest point. There we go. Okay. helps to label these things, or else you will get very confused. Okay. So we're adding the membrane, we're rendering it, that was the reason they were showing up there. And hopefully these points should all line up. In which case, we should get a trapezoid filling in the space between the body and that first finger. Trigonometry in Minecraft? I was never even taught trigonometry. Dude, like, I always hear of trigonometry being like that thing that American kids were taught in school and that none of them remember. I definitely was taught algebra. Trigonometry, though? No, we never touched that. I don't think I was even taught trigonometry much inside of, like, my university levels. I was definitely taught, like, matrix multiplication. Which, heck if I remember anymore. But, oof. Okay, what do we got? Well, we definitely have some problems. But it is connected to the body correctly. You can see that much. So our problem lies somewhere in here. Position A, I'm guessing it's that part there. I'm guessing that does need to be negative. But hey, that is a start. We got 2 out of 4 points. It's also possible that position B is hecked, because I gave that the wrong direction, but... Let's see if inverting D gives us a bit more of an idea of what's going on. More importantly, it's not skewing off into the distance, which means our scales are correct. Because 1 point in a model is effectively, I think, about 1/16th of a cube. So if we have the scaling wrong, everything will be way off in the distance. So a good start. That was definitely the wrong thing. Okay. I think I know what I need to do here. I think I just need to do that. I think it's going in the opposite direction. That's why it's ending up there. Like I say, models are rendered upside down, so you have to negative a lot of things. No idea why. No idea why. What I could do is like a list of anchors. Just attach anchor points to the model renderers, and then have those be automatically updated, and then just directly render those. But that's getting ahead of myself, for the moment. Hashtag blame Dinnerbone. Yeah, I don't think we can hashtag blame Dusty for that one. Okay, where's that place? Okay, that is better. That is definitely closer to accurate. So... what is going on here? Bottom of furthest join point appears to be correct. Position A and D appear to be correct. It seems like it's this part here. The point where wing left A ends. So what's going on? That is the question. Because we don't have a texture, I don't know, because I can't really see it. Oh, and it is also not ending at the right point there. Curious. Okay. Let's fix the texture reference and see what it shows us. Remove that. And it's got the texture coordinates of the original texture, so we might not see the actual like fingers too well. but we will be able to see all of what it's trying to render in that particular piece. If I do get this thing working reliably and properly, I'm definitely porting it to various oddities, because it will be very handy with a lot of things. But yeah, as a general rule, I try to keep to a fairly low number of cubes in my models, because Minecraft doesn't tend to use very many. Like Steve himself is just like 6 cubes. 7 including the headwear layer, slightly more if you include everything else. Okay. Oh, am I just... If it's going diagonally like that, that might just indicate that I've got this... I've got this sequencing wrong. Like, maybe I put these in slightly differently. Who knows? Was that the one I was actually incrementing before? Let's find out. Do a quick check here. I think B was the one I was... Oop, I ripped everything out before I even put the level in. Okay, never mind. So how is that happening, I wonder? Is it... So if it's ending up at the bottom of the furthest point, that it suggests to me that it's actually modifying position B, which should not be the case at all. I can explain that 2 of these values are identical. What does that return? This.add, yes, returns a new vector. Okay, so it's not that. It's just that somehow this is ending up right there. Okay, 9 is definitely in the x-axis. So we increase that, it goes that direction. That should be positive x. The fact that we're down here at all is a good sign. Oh wait, it's not... Just trying to think of how the texture on this thing goes. I think everything's smushed up against this side. But I'm not 100% certain of that. Okay. Let me think here. If I... do that, then we can see exactly which part is wrong by seeing which value gets close. If it is position B, we will see exactly how it's moving. It'll be the only piece that's moving. Here, an anchor point. An anchor point system would be very helpful, actually. Okay, so it's not B, by the looks of it. Or if it is, B is kind of off. So it is... Oh, wait, no, of course, we can just... Instead, we can just do the same thing here for B, actually, come to think of it. Is that Fiona? Yes, it's Fiona. That is an adorable emote. Oh. And it's animated, which means you have subscribed to at least a tier 2 at the at Fiona's channel. So thank you, Vast, for supporting the gay agenda. Anyways. So now the only part that could be hacked up, theoretically, is C. Let's see how it looks. Oh, tier 1's fair, so they changed the name recently. Oh, okay. My mistake. So is A+ for animated emotes? Yeah. Are Fiona and Zoe actually like partnered? Because I'm just affiliate, so there's probably some distinctions between the two. Oh, and now we're off to the front, I think. Okay, I'm just gonna move these textures around a little bit so I can actually see things a bit better. Okay, for that I need to modify the texture file. Okay, so that's the current texture we are trying to get rendered here. This is my really bad efforts at trying to pixel art a wing. Which is another benefit of this, it'll be much easier to show membranes and stuff. Okay, let me just figure out this. Okay. I need to remember this is twice the scale, so everything is 2. And then that's 12, so I need to go 24 pixels this way. The next lowest one is identical at the same point, and the points below are at 9. Should be 18 points this way. Okay, there we go. Plug those coordinates in, and then we should be able to see a bit better what's going on. Ain't gonna be pretty, but it'll be visible, so there's that. And thank you for the sub as well. For 9 months. Okay, should be able to see where the fingers are now. The only thing is, I don't know if the math calculation here for rolling on the vectors uses radians or degrees. But okay, there's our digits. Obviously, I need to know what the I need to know the distinction, because otherwise this is gonna get very weird. So what point is messing up here? It's just literally that I've got the mirroring turned on. Oh, hey, actually there's a point. Position A, add that, because this part is relative to that. Hence, the offsets add up. That might be it. Let's find out. Yeah, this is 12F, whereas that's 0. Or that's 1.5, but it's collectively 13.5F. This is where making anchor points are really helping. Okay, that is actually doing something better because we can see the straight line there. So now there is just a problem with one of these that is causing it to be weird. All that code looks fine. So what thing here isn't going properly? Bottom of the furthest point, which is position C. There we go. Just add 9, but rotate it for the roll of D. Oh boy. Okay, well, we'll get back to figuring this out. We're doing quite well, honestly. We can already see that that is lining up properly, and at least 3 of the points that we're dealing with. So it's progress. Just gotta figure out the last little digits, as it were. And then we'll be able to hopefully get rotation working properly. If we can figure out rotation here, which we seem to have because that point does look to be in the right place, then it should work out okay. But I'll be back in about 10 minutes. So yeah, go have yourselves a nice little break from staring at code. Welcome back, everybody. So, we have gotten 3 out of these 4 points to be correctly where they need to be. But, we still have one that is refusing to cooperate. So, I'm just gonna add a couple points there, and hopefully that will give us some indication of which one of these it is that's messing up, in short. I think this one's good, and this one's good, so I think it's position C. But it would seem more likely it's position A, it's position B. So, a little up in the air. We probably need to actually implement an actual anchor point system to calculate these things, but we'll see. In which case I probably do need to rebuild these to actually work on the Z-axis, but for now it's fine. Okay, can we get a glimpse of this, see what's going wrong? Not really. Everything seems... Well, actually, no, this one has moved. So that's gonna be position C. Bottom of the furthest point. Yeah, that seems to be in the correct location. One point where the body joins also looks good. So the only thing that it makes sense to be wrong here would be position B. These are all referencing the right coordinates, right? Left A, yes, good. Left B, yes, good. So why is this down here? The only thing that makes sense to me is if that is somehow modifying position B before it gets to there. But that doesn't make much sense. Because if that were true, we should be modifying position A as well. But that's about the only way I can think of that would cause these to be off like that. It's worth digging through the code of, Oh, there was a mod that added a whole ton of, like, Doom enemies back in the day. And they were heavily more, like, legit, actual, straight-up polygonal models rather than the cuboids that we tend to use. And they look absolutely hideous and completely out of place, but they probably had to do half the same code I'm working on at this exact moment, so... If I can remember which mod that was, might be worth poking into. hello. Has that moved further along? Can't quite tell. I did tell it to use the right function, right? Because there is one for triangles, and there is one for textured planes, and I'm wondering if I've accidentally used the wrong one. Don't think I have. Render quad, yes, good. Textured plane, yes, good. Ah, there we are. That's the error. Okay. What's happening there is that the code that I put into Model Wings before stream started had a typo. Ah, always the way. I just spent like half an hour trying to hunt down a typo outside of the document that had the typo. Yep. Me am big brain. The biggest. Well, that explains why the other vectors appeared to be accurate, except for the one that wasn't, that they were deriving from. It's because it wasn't. The vectors were all right, and they just weren't being input properly. There we go. Okay. Grand. So that is our first membrane piece. And you can actually see that it is actually bending. Hooray! Okay. So now I fixed that typo, everything's good. So now we can go through and add another one. And that's, well, now we can go through and actually rotate these things. So let's see, rotate pitch. Negative wing left A pitch, just the X, and the yaw, which I presume is the same thing. There we go. Okay. This is gonna get weird, actually. So I should probably make a function to return a vector 3D on this. So let's see, we need the model renderer with its rotation point. And the parent. Let's see, rotate, parents rotate angle X, rotate, parents Y, oh that should be Z because that's the roll. There. Okay. So as the parent rotates, the offset point will rotate with it. This, I think, just needs to be rotated to the body. But it's already parented the body, so it shouldn't be too big of an issue with that one. Okay, this is not going to be perfect to start off with, but we'll start. So wing left A, rotate angle Y equals, let's see, math.sine agent ticks times model utils reads 45 degrees. Okay, and that should cause position A to be the same, but position B here should change, so the furthest point and the bottom of it should move. Hopefully. It should be glued to the position of these model renderers. These cuboids. I don't know what kind of data we have access to in model renderers. I know we can see the child models, but we don't seem to have a list of the descendants, or the parents, as it were. Okay, so the wing should be moving, and yep, it's moving very quickly, but, and also in the wrong direction, but we can in fact see that the membrane is moving with it. So it's connected. Hurrah! Good sign, good sign. Call that panic flapping? Yeah. When a bigger dragon gets on your turf.
Alright, let's bring that beat back.
See if I can't make that a little bit easier to see. We can give model renderers names. I wonder if that'll help us. Like, there is definitely a thing for adding a box that has a name. I wonder if it's worth generating a map of model renderers to their relative positions, or their global positions, I guess it would technically be, but anyways, let's just see how this looks. Obviously, it's just rotating right now, which is not... That's something we could easily do with a static plane rendered from standard Minecraft. But yeah, there we go. You couldn't get that angle over here in vanilla Minecraft, that's for sure. Okay. Very good, very good. So, the next thing I want to do is move that D part, which is the finger we've got currently attached to the membrane, down here. What we want to do is move that along its X-axis, and along its Z-axis.
Player has joined the game.
Oh, hey Dicer, how you doing? Yeah, we need to move that on the roll axis, and then still be able to calculate where this position is. Oh, I get a treat. Oh, thank you, Dicer. Let's see, it's gonna be a... Ooh, dairy milk.
Carrot, zero carrot.
Hello, Dicer, how you doing? And thank you for the sub. With Prime, no less. I get baseless money tonight. Oh. You join me where I am attempting to commit a crime against Minecraft by making flexible models. But okay, so we need to come up with a way to actually, ideally, just be able to straight up reference all of these points. Because we can currently do that for one, but we can't do that for everything else. And that is difficult to do because we need to know the orientations of all of the parent models in the entire hierarchy in order to know exactly where everything is. So in theory, we need to know the reverse tree network of model renderers through all of the parents to the base of the model, which is a little bit of an ask. So I'm trying to think of how could I map that structure? Digging up the roots, yeah. I need to get to the roots of the tree from the leaves, effectively, whereas the model renderers are built to go from the roots to the leaves. One direction. And the only way I could theoretically figure that out would be to go through everything, mark everything that is a descendant of it as being a descendant of that thing, repeat. So that's going to require a fair bit of code. Alright, well, bearing in mind we're not rotating wing left A by anything else, we do know where wing position B is. And we are already actually factoring in the orientation of that, but not the orientation of anything else. So, if position B is fine, then let's add a little bit of motion to wing left D, which is our finger there. Should I name these by fingers? I'm not sure. So it's polyutils, 2 radians, 95D, which is what it's currently defaulting to. And let's add about, say, 10, 15 degrees to that, give or take. And we'll turn that off for the hot minute to see if we can actually get this flexing. We know that part works. If it didn't work, part of the membrane would be getting left behind. Yeah, Tyser, if you're just joining in, what we are effectively trying to do is make wing membranes in Minecraft. Because Minecraft cubes can't move, so in very flexible structures like wings, they are utter garbage, which is why the Ender Dragon is modeled the way she is. But we want to make actual cosmetic items for players that are wings, so we need to make things that can handle a lot of animation. Hence why we've currently got Steve the One-Winged Angel. Oh, it's working. It's working. Looks like there's a little bit of slip, but look at that. Look at that, everybody. The texture is flexing. Nice. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Now, there's slight limitation here. You can kind of make it out that it's moving more along this axis than more or less anything else. That is because of just how this is being generated. If I had a more thorough mesh on this, it'd work better, but right now, that looks pretty good. Okay. Just gonna bring this back and just change it to be more like 15 degrees. There we go. I'm basically, the test case here is making things wiggle. Okay. Well, we've got that working with one finger, so we can now work it out with everything else. So, let's see, body to first finger. First finger, or, yeah, first finger to second finger. Second finger to third finger. Okay. Finger 1A, I guess we call. Okay, so because of how this works, we already have 2 of the coordinates that we need here, the point where all the fingers meet and the bottom of it. Which means we have the first 2, which are A and D. So, let's see. Add membrane. Give them the same coordinates for the time being. This would be... Let's see, the furthest point is B. That's where we want to start. Thing 2B, thing 2C, and thing 1D.
I am heading off to bed. Z's1, take care.
And a plushie. Oh, being generous with your yips tonight, I see. It's a bit chilly because our eating's a bit wonky at the moment. Okay, so we calculate more or less the same exact way there. We just use B instead of D. And that furthest point for this is going to be basically identical because it is a triangle. But she's adorable. Oh yeah, it's from this is the box fox from Mammoth, way back when. I have so many foxes. People keep gifting them to me. Okay, so that is gonna be there. So thing 2B. Do I just feed it thing 1B again? Well, that does to the trick. Let's find out. This should hopefully add a second membrane between those 2 fingers, which stays there even when they're moving. Hello? Almost. I think I gave it the wrong thing. Wing left B, I need C. So it's measuring to there as opposed to here. But hey, that's a good start. Does seem to have some breakdown issues, but that's probably because of how I'm calculating these and rotating them. In short values, radians and degrees are almost the same thing, I seem to recall, but it's been many a year since I did rotation algebra. In theory, if I took biped body and I gave a particular model render I was looking for, I could create a depth-first search to identify all of its parents. There's a fault. But would that be too heavy of a thing to do during rendering? At least it would only happen client side, so there'd be that. That would be a fair bit of calculation. Quite a bit of looping. Oh yeah, we've got some disconnect there, it seems. But they are connected. And I wonder if that's because I'm using the wrong calculation. But hey, it's a start. Let's get the other one in and see how it looks up, how it shapes up. Vector 3D. Why don't you just need to add membrane 45 16 88. And this is joining from the same furthest point there, so finger 1B. The furthest point for this one would be thing 1B dot add. The length of that particular finger is 12 again, I believe it is. Yeah, 12. Rotate roll. Negative. Going left B. Z axis. I've done this wrong a little bit. Shape up. Thing. Let's see. Just like this one. There. I'm gonna rename this to hand. Or palm, I guess. Metatarsals. I think that's the correct taxonomy. I'm on the opposite end of the body, but meh, it's fine. See how it looks. I'm just gonna go up here real quick. Show model equals false. Okay. How are we going? Going for the spooch line. Okay. Whenever we have some connection issues, and I've clearly given it the wrong points there. Because we didn't do that thing, right? Yes. Thing 2C. Which I think is that, yeah. Just connected to the wrong point at the moment. But that does look a lot like a wing, don't it? Doesn't quite have a good handling on triangles. I maybe need to figure that out a bit better. And clearly it is hacking up on the rotation slightly, which might indicate that somewhere is using radians when it should be using degrees or vice versa. But this is very good. This is better than I expected. But admittedly, when it comes to programming Minecraft, I tend to have fairly low standards. But okay, there we go. Fully connected wing. That is flexing and moving about. Not quite the way it should be, but flexing and moving about. I wonder if that's just because I'm not rotating the offset point properly. It's about the only thing I can think of. There's your... Is your... Oh, it does seem to be right. Could be the Z. Damn, 25-month streak. Wow. Thank you very much. Do I have the alert box muted or something? Oh, seems you're good. Usually digs me whenever that happens. Okay. So we've got it all connected together. There's our wing. But we have a problem where it is detaching from where it should be. So what is causing that? Well, let's turn the fingers back on first, so we can actually see what's going on. But that's really good. We got texture flexing between these fingers. Once we figure it out for one wing, it's very easy to do it for another. There is... B does have slight Z-axis rotation. I wonder if that's it. Let's just see how this goes. First things first. Back from your first day after holiday. Ooh. Hope it went well, Cam. God, there's a cashier at my local supermarket that I go to every week, whom I've gotten on a conversational basis with, and she told me the last time I went that she's going to Disneyland Paris this week. I was like, I hope they let you back in. Like, so many things could go quite wrong there. Okay, let's try... Did I not type that around? See parents in there? No. For a hot second, I thought I saw parents in there, but no, I think we're good. Okay. Okay. We basically want to take that and then apply this exact thing to each one in line, and then if we give this a list of parents, then we should be able to figure this out. So, for each model renderer in parents, rotated offset equals just this again, basically. we still need to know. God, we need to go. Yeah, we need to go from the top down, or from the bottom up, depending on how you mark this. Oh boy. Because otherwise, this is still gonna be off. I think the first step at the metatarsals was good. Oh, I have misnamed these. Hang on. Misnamed them again. Well done, me. One of your work colleagues said you don't need to wear a mask anymore. Your reply was a long, cold stare, and I choose to. Yeah. Understandable. Just thinking. Yeah. I think it is, but these values do seem to be, by and large, correct. It's just they're not fully factoring in all of the rotation involved. Anyway, that's our values named now, so now we know. Just want to see which parts of this are falling foul. The wing top and the metatarsals appear to be fine. The bottom of the body, bear in mind that doesn't move, also appears to be fine. Or these also aren't respecting the rotation of the body at all right now, it's just assuming the body is always flat. So, what do I do here? What's going wrong? It's like it's over moving here and under moving over here. Best I can tell. Turn off the alteration of that. Just pondering, because here it's negative, but here it's positive. I wonder if that's related. Okay. is moving in there. Okay. So why... That point clearly is moving. Metatarsals appears to be correct. Those two do appear to be correct. That appears to be very slightly off. And that might just be because it's not factoring in the rotation of wing left B, which is where the metatarsals are connected. Okay. We're gonna brute force this slightly. I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna make a function that will tell us all of the parents of a given model renderer cube. And from there, we can work out the total aggregate rotation, as well as the total rotated offset, to then figure out exactly where this is. So, let me see. I'm going to need... to return a list, I guess. Model renderer. Get parents. Target. And I'm going to need a map for this, I think, of model renderers to lists of model renderers. So, child to parent. Okay, so for every object in the base, we need to go to all of the childs and plunk them in. So let me see here, what will this be? Oh, it's not gonna let me access the children, is it? Random cube? Why is that an option? Yeah, used to be able to identify all of these things. I might just need to make I might just need to map these. Ooh, that'd be unpleasant. You used to be able to actually access the child models list, but evidently they've now made that private. I don't see a way for me to get to it without, at the very least, just cracking into it, in short. Okay. Right, we'll do this the hard way then. Static final map of string to a set of model renderer, an array. So let's see. Part to parents. Let's make it model renderers. Okay. So, under the key of wing left A, we need new model renderer array with the values of biped body only, as its only parent. For this one, we need to add wing left A, and for most of them I think it's this and the same thing. Okay, so now that they have those, we can retrieve that list of parents from part to parents at any time. That needs to not be static, actually. And then we're going to need to retrieve a pair of vectors indicating its current total rotation, as well as its offset position. So let's see, pair of vector 3Ds. So if part to parents contains that model renderer, do a big thing, else this will be easier just to change out for a minute. Very long sentence there. Okay. So, start by going through all of these. So, vector 3D position equals null, I guess we start with, and vector 3D rotation also equals null. Return pair of position and then rotation. Okay. For every model renderer inside of part, well, got parent, inside of part to parents dot get from the model renderer. Okay. Let's engage these as nulls, actually, zeros. Okay. Position, add, vector 3D, parent, rotation point X, parent, rotation point Y, parent, rotation point Z, rotated according to the values that are currently in rotation. Will that be correct? Yes, because if we're offset and something can move below us, then it affects us in the same exact way. Okay. God, this is gonna get complicated. This is gonna get really complicated. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I am increasingly certain that I am barking up a very strange and wrong tree. free F thing? I think it is. Yeah, okay. Really, vector free F doesn't have a equivalent there? Huh. Okay, and then rotation, we need to add that same thing. Or we need to add the rotate. Oh boy, my brain is going melty thinking of all this at once. Oh boy. Let me just scoop it off the floor in a hot second. I'll be back momentarily. Oy, this could be quite a headache. Welcome back, everybody, to Lying Reduces Their Own Brain to Soup. We are trying to create a system by which we can know the exact position and orientation of any given point on, well, any given joint, specifically, of the wing in order to make it easier for us to actually connect the membranes to it. So, here we have a function, which when given a particular part, a particular bone, if you will, of the hand, it will route from the most base level part of the parenting web tree, I guess you'd call it more specifically, calculate through that to find out its exact relative location and what is going on. And I'm fairly certain I've already gotten this wrong, but let's see how this works. Figuring out things that are developed in this way is... it's the kind of thing where you really want a whiteboard. But the long and short of it is, here I have two major points here, which is more or less how our wing works. I've got a body that it is all connected to, whether I like it or not, and each part has a particular offset point. So there's an offset to reach here from the shoulder, there's an offset here from the body, and I need to know, at a given angle, where this point is. So if I lean forward, that changes. If I rotate, that changes. If it rotates, it changes. I need to know where the root of this is, to know exactly where the metatarsal and such is. Also, I should stop calling it the metatarsal, because that is not what it's actually called. That is not the actual name for it in this case. Actually, I think it's marked. I think it's labeled on my little, like, diagram. That's the thing. What is it called? Heck if I remember. It is literally called the carpals. Huh. The metatarsals are the things that go for here. Ah, I see. Right. So, yeah, it's the carpals. Hence, carpal tunnel. Okay. Well, we definitely hacked some things up, looking at that. What have we managed to hack up like that? Yeah, okay. I think... Trying to figure this out. This is very complex. I can figure out the relative position, I think. The deeper we go down here, the harder it gets to figure this out, I think. If we rotate the offset position, then that gets us where the this position currently is relative to the body. A step removed from that, we're following the original, but rotated. But... hang on a hot second. The rotate... okay, let me see. If we rotate the body, this joint where the blue ball is moves. These blue balls, for the figures, all move the exact same way. But when this part moves, it also moves these. Hence, we move everything according to this total sum rotation up to that point. Fairly certain of that much. Yeah, I changed 3 of these, so now it's clearly not too happy. I guess I should check if the model renderers even recognize as being part of in here, or if I need to change that to being a string or something else. Yeah. Just gonna put it into debug mode. Oh yeah, that's my cache codes here. Just to make sure that's actually calculating anything at all. May seem like I haven't made terribly much progress, and that's fair, because I have literally been reinventing the wheel almost here. I've been coding tonight something that Mojang in their infinite wisdom are cowards for not attempting. Still, I'll get it. And then I can port this code to various oddities and use it in actual creatures that you will see in the world. Okay, what does my console say? If it gets spammed, we know that we're finding stuff. And there was an error, apparently. Oh wait, no, because I just told breakpoints out the system thing, that's fine. Okay. So it is reaching that, so it is finding it in the map. Good. That's a good start. So, next question. What is going wrong? What is making this go weird? I think the position... Right now I really wish Technic actually did proper parenting, because it does not. Basically we're just trying to figure this out. Like, this is already a 2-point problem. Let's get rid of the arms and the head and the things we don't care about right now. So the body moves, that changes that rotation point. It moves this by an equal amount. So are we actually... We can calculate the total offset point easily. That's just running through the loop and adding everything together. But that assumes that nothing is rotated. Which obviously it is. If I figure this out, then I actually don't have to do anything else. At that point I can just freely animate this thing and everything should stay glued. Oh, headache. Considerable headache. So how do I do this? We know the rotation points, which is the offset from its parents. Add those together, we get, like, we add those together, we can happily get to here. 13.5, right there. That value, right there. If this rotates at the body, then that rotates accordingly from the root origin. But if this part rotates, that is no longer the case. That, I think, is the problem that we have here. Because if this is off-center, that's going to end up being somewhere that isn't directly correlated to its original position. Oh, there must be a way of figuring this out that I am completely blanking on. What's more, I almost swear I've done it before. Probably in like 1.12 or earlier when I was making the Uber video. Ah, this is kinematics, isn't it? I'm screwing myself over with kinematics. How do I figure this out? Am I gonna have to make an actual rigging system here? Am I gonna have to make a system that actually creates a skeleton that it then animates according to the model and tells me where all these points are still and what their rotations are? Oh, that seems tremendous overkill, but also it would work. Let me see if I can explain this. I feel like I've already done so, but let me see if I can think. Okay, so there's, in like a model of a bat, there is a thing that tells the textures where everything should be and how everything should move around and be relative to each other. So this point right here always knows that it is connected to this point right here on the map, and however the skeleton moves, it stays there. If these bones move, then this point moves, and that should stay attached to it. Obviously, somebody has already calculated how to do this because, well, modern video games exist. If we didn't know how to do that, then nothing would stay connected to itself as it moved around. My problem being, I don't know how to do that. Off the top of my head, at least, because it's too many steps forward for my brain to keep track of. Pay no mind, we have in fact achieved something great tonight. We in fact did manage to make a wing that is connected together with planes as membranes that can stretch. This last little hurdle of figuring out where everything is a little bit more difficult. Just a teensy hair to make sure everything stays glued together. Because once you get to offset points and circles and spheres of rotation and whatnot, then it gets a bit messy. Should be able to calculate the offset point, at least by itself. So maybe I just do that, for right now at the very least. Public vector 3D, flexible sections, yeah. Get total position. So, vector, let's see, So for this, we're going to need to go. We're going to need another total rotation again, as well as the position, starting from 0. So I just turn off all of the animation for a hot second. So, every parent has its own offset position. The rotation point, namely. And they have their orientation, which is our collective value of how much the whole thing has moved. Or does it? No, everything is not independent, so they can definitely move by themselves. Okay, so position, add the parent position, rotation, add So assuming everything is at zeros, then the total angle is going to be 0, so the parent position, the total position will just be the whole thing along the line. Obviously, that is not the case, because things are rotated, right here. So, we need to take the offset point and rotate that by the rotation of this particular point. Oh, my brain is gonna melt on this. Where's my notepad gone? I wonder. Okay. Like, effectively, if I put a point on the tip of your finger and you move your arm around, I need to be able to calculate where that dot still is. That's the extreme simplistic of how to describe this. But if I can do that, then I know where every part of this wing is and where all the points are that need to be connected. Can I get that from these? I wonder. Let's find out. Let's see, there's the rotation points. There's the boxes. I wonder if it's built into the render function somewhere. Let's have a look. Because all these cubes need to know exactly where they are anyways in order to render properly. So, they must be able to know where they are in total. In order for it to render the tip of those fingers in the model, it has to know where the tip of that part is. I am going to be ending up just reinventing the wheel here somewhere, that's for sure. Okay, where's render? Okay. Translate, rotate. What do we got going on here? Translate and apply rotation. Okay. Going to a quaternion, which is deep mathematical magic that I do not remember. And that moves the matrix stack state as well. So it's translated to the point of the model, the 0 point, and then it moves from there. And then everything that gets moved from that point is then changed slightly more. Ah, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay. Let's get rid of this for a hot second. Because clearly, that ain't working out for us. What we're going to do, very quickly here, let's create ourselves that. Create a little box that we will render, but which is not parented to anything, and our job is to then move the fingertip point to the end of the finger. That's what we're going to try and do here. Just give ourselves a nice, simple, like, guideline, effectively, to try and work it all out. Okay. So, start by adding up all of the rotation points. Straightforward. So, for model renderer parent of, let's see, part 2 parents, get, call it, let's go with B. Fingertip rotation point plus equals parent rotation point. If we can get this fingertip to be in the right place, then we know we've got the code to figure out where anything is. Okay. So every time this runs through, it resets it to 0, namely the core of the body, tries to move it to the join point of wing left B. I don't know if I can get this working in the next 27 minutes, but we're damn well gonna try. Because this will save me a lot of headache up here, a lot of trial and error, tinkering with values to get the right thing. So where is our fingertip currently? Our fingertip is currently at the point, the base point of wing left A. Okay. Because wing left A is the only thing, is the only thing in there that actually has a value. So I need to add the actual parts from wing left B. That probably helps. So if we're correct, then everything being 0, it should end up being there. Now we need to factor in rotation. Okay, good. So we can calculate that part, at least. That's fairly straightforward. So next, we need to rotate each step by the rotation of the parent before it. Or none, if there wasn't. Which means we need floats. Pitch, yaw, and roll. And we need to actually change these values according to what those are. So that would be free F. Apparently this takes quaternions for some reason. XP, I think? Rotation. Pitch. If we check... Let's find it. Z, Y, and X. It's doing this in a particular order. I wonder if that's important. So joker plate. Rotation float is not applicable for the quaternion arguments. Okay. Could have sworn you were. But it only takes one. Is the issue I have here. And it outputs a quaternion, which is not what I'm looking for. Transform? Yes, that's what I'm looking for. So vector free F dot ZP dot rotation roll. Y and then X as well. So currently, nothing has any rotation to it. far. Right, nothing has any rotation, so let's add some rotation, just a little bit of wiggling. And let's see if it stays at the metatarsals. Reminder, this point is not parented to anything. So if we can calculate where it should be, we'll have this going. This is peak Lying's brain is melting kind of hours here. Okay. It is definitely experiencing the same disconnects that our other pieces had. So how do we fix this? What's going wrong? Works fine as long as the values are close to 0, which again suggests to me that we're using radians, we should be using degrees or vice versa. But, Oh, let's do ourselves a little fun, shall we? And let's just actually implement the other way. Sure this is going to be wonky, but quick and dirty implementation. So, not surprising. Oh, yep. That's certainly an interesting look. still haven't got quite right. What am I missing? Invert that, maybe? Yeah, I'm at the point where my brain is burning out. I don't know how much I've probably mentioned this already, but people at home probably think I'm just tired or something, but I have maybe 3 hours-ish of spoons in a day, on a typical day, sometimes much more, sometimes way less. And the spoons are effectively a measure of how much useful / productive / whatever kind of effort my brain can put out. And after that point, it starts to get very sluggish at recalling things. It starts to have a lot of trouble engaging tasks. And time just seems to vanish. But anyways, there we go. That's a start. As soon as I can figure out how to pin this cube to that joint without parenting it directly or such, I can get the rest of the membranes working. But the membranes are also virtually perfect already. Just one last hurdle, which again, someone must have solved. Or else, basically nothing of modern 3D modeling would work under a rig and such. So I just need to figure out how to do that. Ideally in a very lightweight fashion, but hey, we're getting there. At least this code I can just duplicate and it should work just fine for the other side as well. Once I can calculate through and determine the origin, as it were, of each particular piece, then it should be fairly straightforward to calculate a piece off to the side of them. So I can say a point at the start of the wing, a point where the finger speed, a point at the bottom of one finger, and that's such, and that'll be easy. It'll be able to spit that out. Not understand the rotation involved. But, okay. We have flexible textures, they're just not staying entirely put. I still call this a win. We just gotta figure out the last step of it. But okay. That's all I've got for tonight. I hope everybody's enjoyed. We're literally building a very complex piece of engineering here from the ground up, so I apologize if it looks like I'm flailing a bit, because I am, because graphics programming is outside of my wheelhouse, but vectors I can more or less get a hold on. So hopefully I'll have figured out that particular wrinkle of things by next week, and we can see a bit more work on this and getting some other wings implemented, hopefully. But this is as far as we go with the dark knowledge today. Hope you've all enjoyed. My next stream will be on the Thursday with some more, probably CFE, possibly Space Engineers, something involving a ship. and the World of Madness crew, that's for sure. And then on Saturday, we should have some carousel with the patrons, talking about what's going on this week and playing some random games from the wheel. And in the meantime, any videos I make are reader.com/comic, and everything I do is powered by you at patreon.com/live. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all next time. I'm gonna go eat and possibly lie down. Brain melty, no thoughts.